Welcome to another interesting day on planet Earth. I feel like I've been off on another planet to a far off land, which I have. I've been on a beautiful healing retreat, I guess, in a place called Inthakin in Chiang Mai in Thailand. It wasn't something I had planned, but the universe said now's the time. And so, like all things when you're on path, resources come in, situations come in, and then the next thing you know, you're there. And since I have returned, I had another couple of weeks because my husband was overseas traveling for business. So I've been really in my inner space for a very long time. And what it is interesting, and I don't know how you're feeling right at the moment, but I've been able to watch my thoughts. And I wanted to give you a little example how it's important to watch your thoughts. For instance, I hadn't been back to yoga for quite a while. And in my head, it was like, well, you haven't been back to yoga for a while. You know, you've had issues with your legs. So probably you're not going to be able to do it. You're going to get far too hot and sweaty and you won't be able to keep up. And you'll be so far behind everyone. But I stopped listening to that voice. And last week I went off to a beautiful yoga flow and decided that, no, I'm not listening anymore. I'm just now stepping forward without the voice in my head. And as soon as I got into the class and the whole session was starting to roll out, I had no issue at all. I was keeping up. It was just like I'd been to the class a week ago. So I started to think, where else have I been listening to this voice in my head? And is it my voice, or is it just like there has been what I want to term like programs in our 3D matrix, which try to harness our energy, what we call loosh, and then have us then trapped in a spiraling down matrix with all the dramas. Now, many in our community would have heard me talk about how they want every human on the planet to be in fear. And certainly all the events in the outer world, for instance, the drama in the Middle East, etc., where we're in fear of a war, or the media putting a spotlight in an area. And it's almost like changing channels. Here's this week's drama and then next week's drama, and we're kept all popping with different things, so we never actually remember anything, but we know how to step into the fear, and the media want to have us, and the systems want to have us in fear. So I've been watching my thoughts, as I said, and so when I hear a voice start to say some limitation in some way, I know that I actually have to do the opposite. And so that's what I've been practicing, to actually do the opposite of that voice, because I know it's not my usual voice that's in my head, and maybe this is part of the programming that they have been doing for a very long time. Now, we are currently heading to the end of October. It's probably another 7 days away, and we're actually in the 31st of October here in Australia. And I already notice around the streets that many houses are starting to dress up in Halloween themes. And it's very interesting because perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, nobody even thought of Halloween in Australia. It was only really something that the Americans really were into. And then over time, somehow we've adopted this American theme into our life on the 31st of October. And shops, and the kids are starting to think it's fun to get dressed up and go trick-or-treating and all the rest of it. But if you go back and have a look at some of the history of Halloween, it's where the dark aspects of our world are actually conjure up spirits from the underworld. And spirits are really still trapped on the 3D. So low vibrational energies, let's just call it that. And so at this time of the year, to counteract the dark aspects, I always do a light activation and actually a real proclamation about not stepping into that dark aspect. So I'll be doing that in our New Earth Academy class that comes up in a week's time. And it's not to get into the fear around it all. It's like the negative aspects create, if you want to look at it from a geometric point of view, if you think everything is in harmony of creation, anything that is not in line with the Creator's plan. So anything that's not the crystalline source code of the Creator will create a distortion in the field in some way. And we practice in our community through Grigori Grabovoi's teachings how to observe what is harmony and how to observe what is not harmony. And then we actually then play with the fabric of time and space using geometric forms and number sequences to alter the distortion. And that's what we'll actually do on the 31st of October. We'll be putting into the field the harmony of creation, and through the power of our words and the power of what we see in our consciousness, we'll be creating a structure that will counterbalance and counteract any dark forces at this time, especially the people who are really suffering at the moment, not only talking physically, but I'm talking emotionally, mentally, and at some stage spiritually. I can see when people get really locked into their left brain and into their fear and worry, it really does change your vibration. And that's what we're wanting to do. We wanted to shift the oscillation of our vibration so that we are able to allow the source code, creator coding, to further awaken within us. Now, there's some talking about on the planet on the 8th of November, it's the timelines are crossing, and there's either walking into with the old timeline that will keep us fairly well trapped, or walking in the new crystalline timeline. Now, it's not like at that moment you're going to feel like you're in a different reality. It will be just that it will feel the same, but it's where the path that you're heading. And it doesn't mean that if you're not conscious of it, that you'll be heading off in the wrong direction, because your consciousness, your beautiful soul and spirit, if your thoughts are with being in a timeline which is resonating with creation, with the Creator, then that's where you're heading. And certainly your soul, who beautifully plans your events in front of you, will have you moving there. And to assist you with that, and just to help you on a practical level, there are some things that you can do right now that will assist you. Firstly, as I said, watch your thoughts. Do not give any energy to lower emotions, fear, worry, or etc., the mainstream media, anything like that. That they just will harness your consciousness, and you'll become afternoon tea, dinner, lunch, and breakfast, what they call loosh. Your energy will be used as a source to feed the dark aspects on the world. And I know you don't want to do that. So other things to do is really ground in nature if you can, because nature is about the harmony of creation, and it's filled with beautiful, wonderful energy. And spending some time by yourself with your own thoughts, or if you're unable to do that, a meditation. I like to listen to during the day some beautiful solfeggio frequencies, which I have always going on in the background, that will help to shift my frequency and certainly keep me on a better frequency to move throughout the day, more in towards the love of creation, the harmony of creation. And the other thing that you can do is just observe what comes into your life with people and situations. So I'll give you a good example. A friend of mine has a new partner, and I went out to meet him for the very first time. And I can see just through, my own personal development and going to a lot of personal developments over the years, that this gorgeous guy is really trapped in his head. He's got some physical pain because even though he's in his 30s, his body's worn out, and he's doing exactly what his dad did. And his dad died in his 50s of cancer. And so talking to him and just listening to him and probing a little bit with some questions, he's definitely got unresolved mum and dad issues. And it comes to a point where we're just playing out our unresolved issues with things around us. And so he has been a very hard worker, and he has been throwing himself into work to live up to how his dad used to want him to live up to. So he's got his dad on a pedestal, he's got himself in the pit, and he's giving his body a hard time. It's like, I want to get on with things. I'm bored. I hate that I can't do anything. And so he's even thinking of, just going to the pain management doctors and saying, look, I need a spine fusion, and then I can get back to normal. And it was really interesting because both my friend and I were saying to him, but hang on, your body's actually telling you you've got to sit back and stop and listen. Your soul is asking you to stop and listen. And his head's in there whipping him on. And you can almost see the little boy inside of him just wanting somebody to scoop him up and say, you know what, it's not your fault that you had a crappy past, that you had the family. Your soul decided that's what you needed for your life journey. And it's almost like I felt like I wanted to hug him and say, it's all right. You're absolutely loved on all levels. He's not quite open to hearing that, but I felt like the little boy inside of him just needed to be held. And of course, my mind is thinking to him, oh my gosh, some personal development would be good. Maybe next time when I'm seeing it, it's like, oh, hang on, stop here. I am getting in the events of somebody else who's not even close to me at all. It's my friend's friend. And that was something that was pointed out to me when I was at Inthkin, because they said I have an open, caring heart. I always want to help people. And what happens is my consciousness has been thinking about him on the days since I've seen him. And I have to purposefully say to myself, I step out of all foreign events and know that his soul, know that the Creator have got him on the path that he needs, and everything will be okay. Just like in my life when things turn up, or in your life when things turn up, and you can stand back and look in retrospect and say, oh, okay, now I can see why that happened. Now I can see how it's actually benefited me. And so it's important not to jump into other people's events. You can certainly send them love, you can certainly send them healing, but then that's it. You step out of their events. Otherwise, what happens is you carry them on your shoulder and you start taking them around with you, and then you've energetically connected to the person. And therefore that's taking away from your beautiful energy, your soul's light, where it's actually needed for your growth and development. And so just be aware of those people around you, especially if you've got a beautiful, caring heart, that you don't quite get into their events all the time and leave it with them, because just like you got on a journey, you were evolving and growing, and so they're on a journey of evolving and growing. So I always like to give people a hand up, but that's it. I leave it with them as well. Other things to do at the moment, just watch what you're eating. Beautiful light food, lots of beautiful clean water at the moment. And as I said, spend a lot of time with you and not taking on other people's problems. So that's what's happening at the moment. And just to be aware, we're in a full moon coming up on the 28th of October, and it is a lunar eclipse in Taurus. So start to be aware of some of those things about your abundance, about your safety and security, which is a big thing for Taurus. But also Taurus is also about, Taurus is also about creating, because they love to create harmony and very grounded and very much of the earth. So if you're joining us in the New Earth Academy classes next week, you'll find the links down below for that. 2 classes, the Australia-US in the morning, and then the UK-Europe-Australia group in at night. So bye for now, everybody, and thanks for having me here, and I'll look forward to seeing you again.